Hi, and welcome to another episode of my unpopular opinions. Well, a funny thing happened when I tested the mic. It worked, but when I was recording the video, and it was a half an hour video, uh, there was no sound. There was no sound. So now I am doing it again. Today, I want to talk about a very, very common thing. And this is a thing that luckily is getting more and more addressed in therapy because more people are starting doing therapy and their inner work and they're trying to figure out why life is so hard. So today, I want to share my opinion on people pleasing. There should be a jingle here. I should make a jingle, I guess. Um, so people pleasing. I am a recovering people pleaser. It's been a couple years of me actively addressing this limitation. I think that there are lots of people who are actually people pleasers, and I'm glad to see that more and more people realize that about themselves. And recently, I talked to someone about people pleasing and said that the world would be a better place if people were not pleasing each other. Not people pleasing, no. If people were not people pleasing each other and were just genuinely pleasing each other instead. And the response was like, that would be crazy. That would be weird. And I do understand that it definitely would be more weird because if we're really, really honest, most of the good things we do for each other, they're not that genuine. That most of the times when we say, "Oh, I really, really hope that it works out for you. I'm so sorry this is happening. Oh, get better or whatever." Um, People don't really mean that. It's nice that the language is so polite. It's definitely better when you're just ignored instead, like the culture that I come from in Eastern Europe. But at the same time, I see that even though it's pleasant to hear some nice words and some encouragement, most of the time they don't mean shit. They're not genuine. They're just language. I think that this politeness that is kind of forced by the culture, it also creates an inner conflict because you say something nice but you don't really mean it. And of course, like, it's not that you want this person to not recover from an injury or something, but like, you don't really care too much because you also realize that you have limits and you cannot be genuinely involved with every single human being that you meet in your life, right? So, and I think that on the receiving end, we also sense when, I don't know, like our colleague says something very nice to us, but you realize that this person doesn't really give a shit about me. But it's nice to hear nice things. But I think we're becoming more and more self aware, and probably many people would genuinely choose to maybe hear less polite things, but more genuine politeness, if that makes sense, I guess. Right. Yeah. To me, it does, and it's my opinion. So that's um, that's the only thing that matters. So people pleasing. I am a very experienced people pleaser. I developed people pleasing coping mechanism very, very early in my life, in my childhood. I was a super convenient child. I was super obedient. My parents did a really amazing job at suppressing me. And now I'm checking the mic because I hope that the sound is working. But yeah, honestly, in a way, I admire them because I did not meet any other kids in kindergarten or at school or later in life who were as convenient and as obedient as I was. I was so obedient that all the other parents were admiring me, and they would um, use me as an example for their kids. While my parents would never compliment me in person, to the point that at some point when my 20s I realized that I actually really want to be complimented. I have so many achievements, and they actually openly said that we will never compliment you. Yet outside our family they would brag about me all the time, and I did have a lot of achievements and talents and things to receive compliments on. And I don't know if I was or am an overachiever, but I think that partially never receiving praise was maybe a reason for me to try harder. And it definitely is the reason for my perfectionism, on which I'm working very actively as well. I'm trying to learn to fuck things up, not on purpose, but to get more comfortable with fucking things up and not being super perfect. So people pleasing is something that I am assuming comes from family. When you often don't feel safe as a child to just express your needs, because let's be honest, it is annoying when a child is screaming and annoying and um, needs a lot of attention. Let's be honest, most parents could not provide that when, I don't know, our generation was kids and generations before us. I hope it is changing these days. And of course, parents were getting tired and wanted the kid to shut the fuck up rather than to express their needs and explore their emotions. So, in a way, it does make sense, of course, logically, but as a victim of this thing, of course, I would prefer to not have to deal with so much stuff in my adulthood. So people pleasing can be formed in the family, I think, most of the time, but of course, it can also form outside the family. And then it depends on how your family addresses these things that happen outside of your house. For example, I was bullied at school a lot. I was, like I was too cool for nerds and I was too nerdy for the cool kids. So I was just like in between the two worlds, not fitting in either of them. And at some point, I ended up in a situation when I chose not to go to the best school in town because, and I passed all the exams super well, kind of top of the list. And I refused to go there because I wanted to stay with my best friend, who next year actually bullied me. And like the half of my class were on her side and helping her bully me, and the other side, the other half, just didn't care about that. I was just all alone, left there. Um, and I think when situations like this happen, or like when you're a child playing outside and there's another kid who steals your toy or like hits you or says something to you, the way how your parents deal with it is also affecting how and whether you develop the people pleasing. Because in my case, when something like this happened, and I was a very convenient and obedient child to the extent that I had no rebellious bone in my body. I was not like some kids who would be obedient at school, at home, and then go outside the house and turn into completely opposite version of themselves. I had none of that. That's how suppressed I was. I like I could not experience anger until my mid 20s, even though there were so many situations that would naturally cause anger, and anger would be a natural response to it. So I think that when a child comes to their parents and says, "Oh, somebody offended me, somebody was mean to me," the way that the parent reacts to that also has influence on the people pleasing and many other traumas, probably. Even if the parent themselves is fine and does not really make the child people please them much. Because in my case, what was happening was that whenever I came home and said, "Oh, somebody offended me, somebody attacked me, or somebody stole my toy or something," my dad would never ever listen to the story, and he would always blame me. So naturally, I was trying to be extra convenient to stay safe outside of the house because I did not know what it is like to be protected if somebody attacks you. And that is very fucking sad. What can I do? I can work on it as an adult. And yeah, it was very annoying, honestly. But at that point, I don't know if I even could experience annoyance. But I do remember quite a lot of situations when another child would just do something weird, hit somebody, or cause some conflict, run back home, complain to their parent, and then the parent comes down and the other kids are fucked. Not literally, of course. And this parent like didn't even listen to the story, didn't even try to be objective in any way. They would protect their child. And then at home, it is possible, some parents do that, they would scold the child as well for getting into this situation. But in some cases, they would like, "Oh no, my child is an angel and can never do anything wrong." And that's something I don't like because this is the opposite of what was happening to me. I was always at fault for any problem that has ever happened to me, even when super objectively there was no way I could be responsible for it. So I'm not wondering why I've been a people pleaser for like my whole life. It does make perfect sense. I was such a people pleaser that I did not go through my psychological puberty until my mid 20s. I did not have conflicts with my parents. I did not rebel in any way. I mean, like, I was going through some stages of puberty and adulting and stuff, but seeing other kids shouting at their parents, using offensive language, leaving the house, breaking things, like rebelling, I don't know. I guess it's a healthy way. I don't know. There was not an option of that happening for me. And I now, with some knowledge of psychology and experience with therapy, I do realize that separation as a teenager, as somebody who's becoming their own adult person, it can be aggressive, and it's probably even healthier if it is aggressive than when you're just doing what your parents are telling you to do and behave the way that they expect and tell you to do to behave, and feel emotions in the way that is allowed and controlled by your parents. So yeah, I understand that for parents it can be convenient to have a child who does not cause any problems, but then this child turns into an adult, and then this people pleasing uh, really, really messes up their adult life because they keep trying to be convenient at work, in their relationships, in social situations, any kind of social situations, and it's not good because they tend to be used by other people without even realizing that they're actually the ones who can be in control of their choices and their lives. So some of the things that I learned as a recovering people pleaser is that it's fine to change your mind. I think it was one of the most terrifying things. And honestly, I have pissed off so many people when I started addressing my people pleasing. Because, yeah, like, you kind of take things away from the people around you because it's very nice to be around a people pleaser. somebody who will not question their own needs and will just do whatever you want them to do. Um, and At some point, I realized that I became so good at people pleasing, which is equal so bad at being myself, that I kind of learned to read the other person's mind a little bit so that I don't need to wait for them to say or to demonstrate what would be safe behavior from me or what their expectations of me would be. I learned to kind of sense that before they make it clear. It was crazy. It's like a whole new level of people pleasing. So, of course, I cannot blame other people for asking me to do things, but I can take my own responsibility and just not be jumping in to help other people or entertain them any moment that they want. And that is the inconvenience of recovering from people pleasing. Because if you have people who are used to you being always available, for example, right? Somebody who will always respond to a text uh, and kind of ignore their own needs for rest or some time away from their phone, that is not healthy. That is not good for you because you probably have more than one person like that. And if you're always ready to just jump into things, people will keep on using and using more and more of that. And not necessarily because they are bad or evil, but it just naturally happens. Like, oh yeah, so I can ask them for this, and then they always say yes. Of course, I will keep asking them for more and more and more. Um, and What happens is that people pleasers, when they people please, they kind of sacrifice something most of the time. You know, it's not that kind of situation like at school, for example, there is this rich girl who has some sweets from exotic sweets from another country that their parents brought or something, and you're just trying to become friends with her, that when she has these sweets, she will definitely give one to you. And like this kind of planning and masterminding. I was always impressed uh and really like annoyed. I think I actually did experience annoyance and jealousy also. I did experience those. Anger, not so much. um when somebody would really pretend in order to get some clear benefit, until I realized quite recently that this is exactly how people pleasing works as well. But people pleasing works kind of in your subconscious mind, and instead of clear benefit, like the sweets in that case, you just try to earn safety. And very often in the situations where there is no threat in the first place. So when I realized that my brain was actually doing the same thing that I hated about other people, I was like, "What? No, that's not the same." But it kind of is. It kind of is. But of course, safety and sweets, they're very different things. Um, so being a people pleaser definitely affects your life in a negative way, because you might not realize it, but you never put yourself first. And I think the more you practice being people pleaser, even though it's never conscious really, um, the more you just ignore yourself and your own needs. And one of the hardest things when you try to get out of the people pleasing mode is changing your mind and trying to get comfortable with it. Because, for example, your friend invited you to go to a party, and this friend, I don't know, like, just really doesn't want to go alone. And you said, yeah, okay, we can go because party's fun. But then you realize that you're actually pretty tired and you would like to read a book or watch a movie alone at home that evening. And if you go to the party, it will actually drain you a lot. So it's not a bad thing to communicate it to your friend. It's gonna annoy your friend because that's what they planned and what they want, but it's not a need, it's just a desire. And it's possible for them to find somebody else to join. It's possible for them to meet new people there. It's not a bad thing if you cancel on them. If you don't really communicate it, then it's going to be weird. But even if you do communicate it well, they might get annoyed. They might get annoyed. They probably will get annoyed. And even if they understand. So this annoyance, it has nothing to do with you and it is not your fault. And I think that's where many people pleasers kind of get stuck when they meet some resistance from other people by trying to put their own needs in their own life first. And then they're like, okay, it's not safe. It's bad. I'm a bad person. I should not be doing that. What did I think? This person doesn't want to be friends with me anymore. What have I done? I'm a terrible person. No, and neither is your friend, probably, but prioritizing your own needs is your own responsibility and it is your own power. And unless there is some kind of an emergency, which is barely the case, the other person can survive that. Even if you had some agreements, it's fine to change them or to cancel them if you have some other needs, even if these needs kind of you realize them a little bit like on a short notice, let's say. It is okay. It is fine because it is your life and the other person has their own needs. And I think the more you try to get out of the people pleasing mode, the more you'll become aware of how other people also have this right to prioritize whatever they prioritize in their life. And I would say that the problem in my case has been that, um, I mean, I'm addressing it really actively in my life. And it's not that super common to address it that much. So when other people cancel on me, which also happens, I do get annoyed too sometimes because I planned it, I wanted it, but I also like a part of me does understand that if they have something more important for them, even if I don't agree with that, it's not up to me to decide what's important for them because their energy, their time, their money, all the resources that they have, even if I have a different idea of how they should spend them, it's not up to me to decide how they should do it. So because I'm addressing people pleasing in my life, I kind of, like cheer for the other people who sometimes cancel on me to prioritize themselves. But I don't feel that it all is always the case the other way around when I prioritize myself. Um, I don't feel like people on the other side of the situation are that aware of how beneficial it is at fighting people pleasing so that they just end up being annoyed and that's it. But it's fine. It's all right because I don't know. I think it's important to be your own best friend and your own partner, and to understand that there's no person in this world who will be with you through everything that you go through, and that everybody has certain needs, everybody has certain priorities, and it's fine to change your mind. And it's most of the time annoying when somebody does it, but it's okay. And sometimes it just creates an opportunity for a new experience that you couldn't have planned on. And you also get to meet more people when you go somewhere alone rather than with your friend or something. So it's not that bad. But what I find bad about people pleasing is realizing that somebody's nice to me not genuinely, but because they're people pleasing me. They're just being polite for the sake of being polite or for the sake of feeling safer. Um, and it sucks. It sucks if you're trying to become a friend with someone, for example, and I don't know, they seem to be, they behave like they care about you, or they behave as if they are interested in you. And then you kind of realize and see that that was not the case. They were just being polite in order to gain something from this communication, or they were just trying to stay in a safe position or something. That really sucks. That's something that kind of hurts me in the way, because um, if you're not genuinely giving me compliments, it's okay if you don't give me a compliment at all. Because if you give me a compliment, I will take it, and I will assume that you're genuine. But if you're not, it's better to not, I think. But it's just my opinion, of course. Of course, everybody loves compliments and everybody wants to be acknowledged. Um, but I feel like there is so much fake politeness these days, and I don't know. I kind of sense it uh, pretty strongly when somebody's just saying nice things without meaning them, and it kind of hurts a little. I don't know if it's the case with everybody or somebody, but this is the case with me. I'm fine. You don't have to wish me things if you don't mean them. It's fine. um, but yeah. And actually, talking about compliments, as somebody who never got compliments from her parents, and was kind of fishing for them outside, and at some point I caught myself um, not exactly begging, but like asking people to give me compliments. And they were like, what the fuck? Even though I think objectively I deserved those compliments, that doesn't mean that the other people share that opinion. But talking about compliments, I think that there are also some really cool things that we can do, not from the people pleasing perspective, but also maybe practice expressing our genuine positivity, let's say. So, what I have been doing is giving compliments to people, to strangers, very often, like at supermarkets and shops, to shop assistants or cashiers. Even though I try to use self checkouts, just I'm an introvert. But there are so many cool people with nice, interesting hair, or like face features that are really gorgeous, or some nice manicure or whatever. And I don't think that there's anybody who is receiving enough praise and enough compliments. There's no such thing. And what I started doing, I just started giving them compliments. And also because I'm a woman, it's sometimes really weird for other women to be complimented by women, because it's actually the biggest compliment. Honestly, like if a man compliments a woman, cool, nice, great, probably wants to sleep with you. But when a woman, given that there's still lots of competition in the female world, unfortunately, but it's getting better. We're getting closer to each other and more supportive of each other. When another woman compliments you, woof, it's like that is especially if it's a woman that has literally nothing to gain from it. That is the best praise you can ever get. And there are so many beautiful and interesting and cool people out there, and I just feel like, yeah, I think that this person looks beautiful. I like this outfit. I love this hair. This is awesome. I'm pretty sure they love it too if they chose to dress like this, or I mean, hopefully they like their face too. uh, Even though we don't choose faces that much, but I feel like I just want to share it, and there's nothing for me to gain. I don't expect them to compliment me back. I don't expect them to just thank me, or to, I don't know, to buy me a chocolate or give me their tram seat, whatever. No, I just feel that this person, there's something really nice about them, and that they would definitely have a better moment if they knew that somebody else acknowledged it. And this is how I practice genuine stuff. There is nothing for me to gain, but I do feel good while sharing it. But there is no sacrifice involved. Um, while in people pleasing, there is some sacrifice. There is this fear that if I don't do something for this person, then they will reject me. Then they will think that I'm a bad person. And the tricky thing about how people pleasing works is that when there is this sacrifice happening, like, yeah, I canceled some other plan in order to help you, the other person on the receiving side of people pleasing is often not aware. They have no idea whether there was some physical sacrifice, some change that the person did, or there was just some sacrifice that was emotional or moral, and the person was planning to, again, like to read their book instead and just recharge and rest, but instead went to hang out with you, and you didn't even know that the person was low on energy and wanted to rest. You just invited them and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do it. The problem is the building resentment, because if you sacrifice something, it's like the energetic exchange or whatever you call it. It's the balance. Um, the thing is that the person sacrifices something, they expect a compensation, because if they get from, I don't know, from 0 to -10, they need a +10 to get back to 0, if that makes sense. And the thing is that the receiving person has no idea about it. But subconsciously, like, it's not exactly like super controlled and conscious, but subconsciously the person who is sacrificing is expecting that person to really like keep that in mind and compensate on it. And of course the other person is not compensating because they're not aware, and that's where the resentment builds. And then it builds up. And have you ever seen um people pleaser being done with it? Like, if a people pleaser like breaks out and just like lets you know, like, they get so angry and so aggressive because there's so much stuff that is suppressed, and then you just like, you don't even realize that they have been sacrificing for you so much. And who's at fault here? Probably nobody. But it is kind of your responsibility, I think, as a people pleaser, to be more aware of it and to not let things build up that much. And if you experience it that you just explode at another person after allowing things to build up for a long time, just try to catch them earlier, and just to communicate to the other person that, hey, I wanted to do that, I can come over and we can hang out, but maybe another time, or maybe I will stay for half an hour and go back because I have this need. Because probably the other person, if they are a nice person, they will understand that, okay, oh, you have another need, there's something that you feel like doing instead, then you should do that instead. And communication, of course, is the key. And of course, it is very, very difficult to make those first steps out of people pleasing, because that's when you meet the most resistance. But it's also about questioning, do you really want this person to be such a big part of your life if they cannot accept the fact that you have your own needs and you are trying to cover those needs for yourself? That's also a good question to think, because I think coming out of people pleasing is also a great filter for the people in your life. And if setting healthy boundaries and protecting them pisses these people off, maybe they are not the people who deserve to be so close to you. I don't know. It's up to you to decide. I'm just sharing my popular opinions here. So this is a short opinion on people pleasing from me. As you can see, there's some upgrade of the background. And now I realize why this plant is called a monstera. It is pretty monstrous and it's taking over. So if you have any thoughts on whatever I just talked about, if you have share my opinion, if you have an opposite opinion, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to discuss things because I know that this is kind of controversial. I mean, for me, it's not, but I do understand that for other people, it might be. And I'm not saying that I am right about everything that I said. It's just what I think, at least for now. So yeah, a little moment to take about the algorithms and promotion. So if you like my content, please interact with it. That's how the algorithms work and learn that my content is valuable in any way. And likes, comments, subscriptions, sharing them really helps YouTube to know that this is the good stuff. So I would really love that if there was anything that you liked about it, that you could show some love. So yeah, tune in for more opinions because I have a lot of those. And have a nice day. And you're doing great. Whatever you're doing, unless it's something bad, you're doing great. And I'm giving it this compliment to you, not out of people pleasing. I don't even know who hears this compliment and who watches this far. And I'm definitely not doing it so that you put a like or subscribe to my channel or whatever. But of course, if you feel like you want to give back, these are the ways to do so. Well, have a great day, night, whatever it is. And I'll see you in other episodes of my unpopular opinions. Bye. And I almost forgot. Please check out my other videos and my other unpopular opinions on different topics, but specifically on parent pleasing. It was my first video. It's 56 minutes long, but I'm proud of every second. Friendships, romantic relationships, and love. And there is definitely way more to come. See you there.